Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Trackmania channel for the first of two streams today with the 1v1 between Ener versus Dark. Sorry for the little bit of a energetic voice we're having. We've had a bit of a wonky preparation. It's gonna be a wild ride, let me tell you. So yeah, I'm Thomas Singles, aka GGeek. Well, don't worry, we'll get into the face cam scene in a minute. Okay, so I think we're ready. Okay, let's go. So everything should work now. Please work. Please work. Okay, there we go. We're live. We're live right away. So really sorry about this.
Oh, we're live. Hi guys. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I know this was gonna be super sudden. I mean, we were rushing off camera to get stuff prepared. I mean, this. Oh man.
How are you guys doing? Hey, welcome to Trackmania Grand League Challengers versus the Open League. We are about to start. We are, as we said, 10 minutes from match start. And Geek, which of the three matches that are coming up here do you think is going to be like the biggest one, the one you're looking out for?
Well, of course, I would, still have my eye on the TMGL Challenger Final to see who will be playing in the head-to-head. Of course, on January 9th, but this one is going to be pretty interesting. It's about the same rule set that we had in the Trackmania Grand League Final 2, best of 5 series with 3 maps needed to win. In order to win a map, a player needs to win 4 rounds. You get the win by KO there as well. And yeah, sorry if we kind of riffing through all this because, yeah, the match is set to start in about 10 minutes time. But yeah, I guess we can still show what the format is all about. In fact,
we got enough time. Let's go through the format, starting with the first match, which is Ener versus Dark. And this is some stuff with the region lock, right?
Region lock is going to be for the TMGLC versus TMGL. Oh, the region lock doesn't apply. The situation that we ended up in, actually, before we well, let's take a look at the format graphic, and then I'll talk about the situation we ended up in. So, as I said, same format as the TMGL Final, best of 5 series, 3 maps needed to win. Maps are played in a best of 7 fashion. The first player to win 4 rounds wins, and the winner of the match gets to get qualified for the TMGLC season. Round win conditions, there is the regular way, first at the finish line at the end of the round, or the win by KO. A winner needs to keep at least a second of a gap over his opponent for 3 consecutive checkpoints. Once the conditions are met, the round is ended early and given to the player in the lead. So that's all you needed to basically know about the format for today. Now, the situation that we ended up in is the following. So the Grand League Open has been running in parallel to the Grand League Challenger and the Trackmania Grand League season. The season has ended on December 11th for the Open players. Skandir and Sapi finished first and second distinctively, and they are through directly to TMGLC. However, the third and final direct spot, we ended up in a tie on points at the end of those 8 rounds between Ener and Dark. And so this 1v1 is to determine who will be in third place and get the final spot in qualification. The rest, we'll get to talk about the TMGLC versus TMGLO format a little bit more in depth, as well as the TMGLC final when we get to that, of course, at 5 p.m. whenever the match starts. So yeah, I'm already looking forward to it. And as I said, we're sorry for a little bit rush of energy, a bit of adrenaline, because yeah, it was a bit of a warm-up to get us prepared.
So they ended up in an exact tie after 8 steps played, the exact same points. And the one thing we saw, like we looked at the times from all the divisions, and I remember, for example, Vertigo, when that was played in 6 laps in the regular season. The winning time in Challenger League was about 6:20. The winning time in Grand League was 6:15 or so. And the Open League had like 6:40, 6:50. And we have seen quite the level difference, like naturally, between the 3 divisions. But the player who wins here, as you said, is auto-promoted. So this is like a good final test, I think, to prove yourself that, yeah, I'm going to the next level now, belonging to the next level, and I'm going to battle against Challenger next year.
Yeah, although to be said, this is a very, very special occasion, the fact that we had a tie. Could you have predicted that we would have had the tie coming up in the top 3, automatically promoted at the start of the season, or not?
You know what I was wondering was, like, what happens in Grand League if 2 players are exactly tied? There's probably some tiebreaker rule for it, but I was thinking what would happen, and well, here we go. We have a 1v1 match to decide it, so that's a cool way to do it. You know, in chess they have this Armageddon format, where it's like do or die, and it's kind of this way now with the best of 7s on the maps. And I do love that we have 1 lap this year instead of 2 lap. I think it makes the rounds way more tense, as you just non-stop action for 1 minute.
Yeah,
and we saw that last week, so it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually watched the final chance last week, I mean, we were back to the sort of Blitzkrieg format that we are so used to see. It kind of I know I know are gonna be get called a heretic for saying that, but it's kind of like I had the same feeling of cup mode, even though the proceedings are a little bit different. It kind of feels that way because you got
It felt old school. It felt
exactly.
like we are back to the glory, you know, of cup mode 1v1s, the four-player matches.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we had that vibe with the Final Four, and we had that vibe in the same way with the Final Two. Although we have, of course, this extra rule of the win by KO, which kind of prevents some of the rounds from being fully played. I mean, it kind of makes sense to get that rule implemented. Some people have been speaking against it, saying it kind of kills the tenseness a little bit and the comeback potential. But I feel like it's still a good way to actually have alternative ways to win that are actually relevant.
Yeah, because then if you see, it adds a tactic game. If you see you're getting close to that 1 second knockout, you could push for it and just say, okay, I want to close this out before we get to the identity. I'm going to drive extra risky here, gain a couple of hundreds, and maybe that's enough to hold a knockout.
Yeah, exactly.
So that I like the implementation as well. I think it's cool. Yeah, guys, I hope the players can keep their head cool in a couple of minutes, because we're about to go in here.
Yeah.
I figured I'd have one final look at the leaderboards to see which one of the players have the best personal bests. And taking a quick look, especially at the map that we saw the biggest differences on was Launchpad, I think, where some players now have gotten down to 103 almost. And last week, the world record was 104.34. So there has been some improvement on that one. Not particularly seeing Ener and Dark on those leaderboards right now, but I'm sure they have prepared rigorously for this competition.
Yeah, so if you're wondering, we're just waiting. I'm currently on the server. We're waiting for the players to join. Oh, by the way, have you managed to join the server, Wirtual? Are you on there?
I'm getting in.
Okay, so
we're cracking the code. We are joining the server now.
Yeah,
we're good.
We are breaking into this server. We both have to join the server separately because, yeah, technically, I mean, even though I'm unable to actually make this whole operation work, I don't feel confident to actually push another feed directly over to Wirtual for spectating. Plus, I feel like spectating having two different perspectives is always a pretty good thing, especially in the regular season steps. And yeah, but yeah, also technical reasons are somewhat.
But yeah, and I think also with like a 1 versus 1, it's pretty. It's nice to be able to see the person for both perspectives. So we should be in here, I think.
Yeah, I saw your name pop up when you actually joined the server, so you're in. We're just gonna be waiting for the two protagonists, of course, Ener and Dark. Now, I guess this actually gives us a bit of a moment to take a look at the schedule for this weekend, the final weekend of the Trackmania Grand League fall season, and the final weekend of 2021 in the Trackmania Grand League circuit. Here's a look at what's going to be going down this weekend. So, of course, in about a couple of minutes, we have Ener versus Dark at 3 p.m. The winner gets directly qualified to the TMGL Challenger Season Spring. Then at 5 p.m., we'll have a bit of a break between that and the TMGL Open versus Challenger confrontation at 5 p.m. We'll be live a little bit earlier than that, about a quarter of an hour before the Open versus Challenger confrontation, and the loser from the 1v1 will have another chance to make it to TMGL Challenger. And then the final at 6 p.m. CET to conclude the day. And then, of course, on Sunday at 5 p.m., the final of the Trackmania Grand League Fall 2021 season. And we will get to see who will take over from Carl Jr. at 5 p.m. CET. It's over on Wirtual's channel. This is, I guess this is something I should point out. It's actually my last day of casting for the entire year. After that, I'm going to be taking a big break. I think I kind of deserve that. But
deserved Christmas break for sure. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so at the end of the final, I will of course have a few people to say thank you to, because yeah, I think some thanks are required for this season, because yeah, it's been one heck of a ride.
For sure. I mean, it's a long year. We're about all pretty tired from the year, but one final match tomorrow, a Christmas present to all. The TMGL finals, and then in January 9th, we have the Grand League relegation promotion match.
Head-to-head.
So yeah, so there's gonna be like a bit of an after Christmas present as well. But we just got booted from the server. Are they restarting, you think?
I'm thinking that it is indeed a server reset, because yeah, they might be looking to get the rule set right and get this prepared for the for the players. I'm hoping that we did not get kicked out prematurely because, I mean, we're supposed to spectate it. If we can't even actually get in there, that would be a bit of a shame, really, but...
I do love, like, the overall change Trackmania's had in esports, where it's gone from these these big team matches of, like, groups of 5 players, 6 players, to just straight up 1v1s. It's so, like, raw in a way to just go 1 versus 1 matches, because you really get to see the pace, the consistency, and, you know, who really wants it, who's pushing for it, who's trying the most. And if you're able to beat your opponent, like, then you got the spot. That's yours.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a bit of a different philosophy. Well, that's one thing about Trackmania competitively, is that there are many different types of competitions. I mean, Grand League, sure, is the main format, is the main competition and the main format that we see nowadays. But there are still plenty of different things. You have got cup mode, you've got rounds mode, you've got time attack competitions. You also got team-based competitions that are still very much a spectacle to behold. And yeah, I will be unveiling my plans for casting for the beginning of the year. I have stuff set. I will be revealing that either on Monday or on Tuesday on my Twitter and my Twitch, so make sure to head over onto those social channels to actually be updated. But yeah, there are many different formats that are actually worth it, and yeah, also plenty. Also, I'm foreseeing maybe some innovation with maybe new formats to come up in the next few years or so, as we are back onto the server.
Champs. All right, we're back on the server. So yeah, this is starting in a couple of minutes, guys. It's Ener versus Dark, 1 versus 1. Let's just see who wins and takes the spot in Challenger.
Yeah, exactly. So we got both of our players on the server. This is the pre-match warm-up. I'm just going to reinstate the sound of the game so you guys can actually hear what is going on in the game. So let's see. We do have Ener currently on there for B Genius Esport Club and then Bureau Plus Competitions Dark. He's one of, I think, 4 drivers from BS Plus competition actually taking to the track today. I mean, we've got him in the 1v1, and we've also got, well, I guess we should say Soldier and Dofault from the Trackmania Grand League Challenger taking place in the Challenger versus Open Confrontation, and then of course, we also have Dark, one of their old other teammates, taking part in there. So it's going to be a bit of of an intern team battle for those final spots in TMGLC, I reckon.
Indeed, and we see a lot of very motivated players from the B Genius lineup, and also BS competition. They have Soldier, they have Dofault, as you said.
Correction. Mine is very quick to point that out. I completely messed up. Soldier is indeed Numalops. It's Snow. I meant to say Snow, but my went to Soldier. Yeah, I'm really completely. This just goes to show you how nervous I am with this final broadcast of the year. Oh god. Okay, apparently there was an issue with the server, so we've been. So apparently there might have been a server reset on the way. So.
But we are seeing a lot of up-and-coming players from those lineups,
yeah,
like BS competition and also Genius. Especially, I play a lot of Cup of the Days, and it's always the Genius players in like the top 10s. With the Clems, with the Darks, with the Eners, they're very good and they're very consistent.
Yeah.
And that shows as well when they're now climbing up in the Grand League ladder.
Yeah, indeed. And okay, so the server is now back up. I invite you to join it. And quick word about BS Plus competition. They were one of those orgs that actually came in a big way, acquiring an entire lineup of players. These are the former Team Otterworld guys, if you were actually wondering who these players actually came from. And yeah, also Dofault, not having had the best season, it did not really go his way, especially after how 2021, the middle of 2021, the summer went for him. Second in the ZRT Cup, went all the way to the World Cup, qualified himself for there, his first ever World Cup appearance. And yeah, that's I mean, let's see what he will have to offer a little bit later on in the afternoon in the Challenger versus Open confrontation. But yeah, definitely the season has definitely not gone the way of the Belgian.
It hasn't, and you know, well, I mean, there have been some very bright spots for players like Soldier, where we really saw him shine. Like World Cup, parts of it, he was dominating. I remember on Bicycle, he just played like world class level. And then he maybe lacks a bit of the experience and confidence that some of the better players have, and he fell a little bit under the pressure. But this is still like all these players are so young. They're so talented at a pretty early age. They have a lot of Trackmania to drive in them, and it's a joy to just watch them from the start now to see how far they can go.
Yeah. So, for those of you who just joined in, I see a lot of questions in the chat asking what this match is for. Ener and Dark were tied for 3rd place in the Trackmania Grand League Open Division standings at the end of the season, and this 1v1 is to set them apart to decide who finishes in 3rd place and gets the final direct ticket for the next Challenger season alongside Skandir and Sapi, who finished 1st and 2nd in the Challenger season. So now the server is back up. We have the rules that have been updated, so you can see the 3 dots next underneath the scores. Blue versus red. Let's have to see who will be blue and who will be red. It seems as though it will be Dark in blue versus Ener in Team Red. And so the first to have 3 map wins wins the match, and the first to 4 points on the map wins the map. We've already explained the format, 2 different ways to win the round. First at the finish line, or win by KO by keeping a gap of at least a second over your opponent over 3 consecutive checkpoints.
And I mean, if we're asking like who's the favorite here, right? Throughout the league, for 8 steps, these guys went exactly tied. So I think we're in for a close match here between Dark and Ener. They're starting up in just 8 seconds. The winner of the match goes into the Trackmania Grand League Challenger League next year. So good luck to both players. We're going to the first map.
Yes, indeed, we are going to the first map, and this first map seems to be going to be Icy Snake from Rocket. We've actually seen this map being introduced at the last step of the season and being used directly into the final map pack. And yeah, I mean, Ice Identity, we're keeping the tradition of 1 Ice Identity in the final map pack per season. In the new game, we've had Paradise, we've had Slalom, now we have Icy Snake, and a map that is pretty interesting and very well integrated. But we don't really have much time to talk about it. You can see the warm-up, 5 seconds left, and I guess we are getting right on the way right here, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1v1 between Ener versus Dark is right underway.
It is starting up, and last week we got to see amazing matches on this track between the players in the final chance. This weekend we have this match, we have the Open versus Challenger, and then we have the final tomorrow. So a lot of Trackmania to be played. Let's all enjoy it while it lasts. Dark versus Ener. Dark up to an early lead in this first round, gaining a little bit more speed into the dirt section. And he's going to be able to hold this all the way to the downhill turn here, where it might equalize. Goes a little bit wide before the loop though. Ener with a tighter setup will get more speed out of that. And the balance is just about the same, 1200ths before they come towards the bank dirt corner, and then the Ice Identity in the ending.
Here comes the Ice Identity for the first time here on Icy Snake. Who's going to get the better lineup, though? And they're going a bit wider than Dark, getting a little bit tighter towards the apex there. Who's going to get the best transition into the second slide? It seems as though Dark has got a much better grip compared to Ener under the third and final corner. Ener going a bit tighter at the line. Oh. It's still going to be Dark with the overspeed that takes the win for 48 thousandths of a second right out of the gate. It's going to be pretty close.
I was like, imagine they tie the first round too, because why not? Just tie everything. These guys are like twins. Just everything tied, everything the same. Good round in the first one there. Dark with a small advantage, able to beat Ener, despite falling a little bit behind. He had that locked here though, losing again in the start. Ener fast when it matters, right out the gate. But here Dark with a tighter turn will overtake. And we saw that ice ending be very important. The wide setup is what you should look for. How far to the right they set up before the first ice slide. That is where you can gain a lot of speed if you execute that well. Here, Dark is going very fast, just building up speed, and Ener cannot keep up with this. He's losing 0.21 before they exit the dirt, going towards the bank turn. And here now in the ice, you gotta set up wide and then turn in early to get a good chain of ice slides.
Coming up to the ice slide right now, Ener with a bit of a wider line, going for a really tight apex, and a nice exit with a bit more speed compared to Dark. But Dark gets back at him at the second turn, third turn, a bit of a clip there from Ener, a second clip that's going to be sealing the fate for Dark right here, and Dark going really close to the edge of the finish. I was wondering if he was going to full stopic in there. That looked a little bit close to me, a little bit too close to my liking, I think.
Oh, unfortunate for Ener, because he had such a good line, but then the final ice slide, he clipped his wheel, and that gave him too much angle, which you can't recover in an ice slide. So he had the setup, just went a little too early with it. Unfortunate for him, but it's a 2-0 for Dark, and we mentioned the rules. You win 4 rounds here, you win the map, so Ener here in a tight spot now. He's driven 2 good runs, but have them both beaten in the final turns. Now off to another fast start here. So we saw Dark, he's releasing in that jump to get more speed for the loop. This is something I haven't noticed, but this is a strategy Dark's going for. A release, landing earlier, getting more speed on the downhill. He gained a 10th with that. And now getting pretty close to Ener. Oh, wide setup in the turn. Still makes it through, and we have once again a very close battle. But there with the touch on the wall, this should be Ener's round now. Just needs to make sure that he gets through these 3 corners. And though this looks difficult, the players have practiced it. And when you know you have the lead, it is a formality here for Ener. Gets 1 point on the board and tries to equalize the match.
That's definitely a round that he's going to be taking. Thank you very much for that, he says. And yeah, that little touch of the wall on the outside for Dark right before the identity is definitely not what he was looking for. And we were talking about that, you were briefly mentioning that section with the dip in the water followed by the chicane, the little S section. And yeah, this is an area where it is pretty easy to make time there if you get a really good line there and make some really smooth steering. Avoid sliding at all costs with wet wheels. That is one of the big things with the grip loss that we have. We will also see wet wheels on pull side, of course, but so far it's almost darn equal at the dirt part right here between Dark and Ener. Now, is Dark actually going to release in here?
No, he did the release strategy. Look at this. Yeah, that tiny release of the acceleration, he lands earlier, he starts accelerating again earlier, and you can see that this again has net him a 0.10 advantage over Ener. So this is something that he's practiced. I don't know if we saw that in last week's matches. It's something that Dark has at least figured out, and Ener hits the wall now. It's a flip, and Dark has the clear advantage before the ice slides. Just needs to try to close this out. 1 more to go here. Although he is a little late for this one, that should be safe into the finish line. Dark takes it with a 3-1 advantage now. Only 1 round away from securing map 1.
That was a slowdown if I've ever seen one. That unfortunate grace from the wall. And just, again, almost at the exact same place as Dark. Although it was on tarmac, it was just a few corners before the identity. That is definitely a run killer, this one, as we are moving on to the first of 3 uninterrupted attempts there for Dark to actually seal out that map and go on to 1-0 in this best-of-5 series. As we're going into the dip with the water, and they're having the best start so far. Is Dark able to recoup some of that gap? It's still staying roughly around 600ths of a second, moving on to the dirt part right now. Nice close apex right there from Dark, managing to get within the gearbox of Ener here. Now going on to the
he again got that release down. It's just so fascinating that, you know, in a map that's been practiced for like the TMGL finals, that we see just tiny tricks like this. This time Dark didn't get it as well, and he only gained about 500s, but look at this, he's in the lead now with the red finalist badge, and these 3 last corners will be decisive. Ener has to go wider. He is going to try for this wide early setup, but oh my god, car wheels almost off the edge. Is still falling short of Dark, who could close out map 1 here. Ener trying the inside line, but it's not enough. Dark takes the first map with a 4-1 lead. But what a match by both players there.
Yeah,
1-0.
Yeah, I mean, he really gave it all he did, gave it all he could, didn't he? And he really tried to give Dark a run for his money. But in the end, the BS Plus driver has managed to keep a firm control over the round. Despite losing 1 round to Ener, he's managed to get the map for himself. As we're going to be moving on to map number 2, which is going to be bolt holes by, look at, I was going to be saying Icy Snake again, but yeah, it is indeed bolt holes, a map that we've seen on step, I think, 5 of the TMGL season. And yeah, this was the first map of Rocket in the Grand League, in the Grand League map pack, and very nicely well built, very well constructed, well integrated. The identity theory, very simple, but very punishing in terms of execution. 1 single pixel offline or a single kilometer an hour too early, and you'll risk bonking one of the entry holes. And yeah, quick correction that you pointed out, Chen, and that I actually also noticed. We are down to 3/4 of a second of a gap for the win by KO rule to be enforced, and not 1 second. So really sorry about that. Thank you very much for spotting that. In the meantime, we are on the way through the plastic wall ride we go. So far, so good. Although Dark having a much better exit from that little dirt part compared to Ener, and so he will be taking the advantage to around 3,000ths of a second. moving on to the downhill part, then onto the jump.
And now, yeah, the quarter pipe jump, the middle obstacle here, which can be tricky to land. Ener with a bit of a shaky one. Gonna drift around up to the reaction booster wall, and he is just losing ground here. This is one of the more tricky maps to drive, and we see the gaps getting bigger than they've ever been without crashes here. 0.3, although Ener here with great speed in the dirt section, getting a little closer to Dark. But he still has his work cut out for him in the identity, the main obstacle section, which is coming up in the ending. 3 jumps in tight corners of bolts is what's coming up here, so Dark will have the advantage going into it. Ener is closer than he was though, only 0.2 now. First jump through the bolt. Who has the most speed? It will be Ener, but Dark is still far away, although he jumps too far, and Ener crashes. Will Dark make the final jump? No, Dark crashes as well, and Ener has the advantage, but Ener, he avoids the wall, and Ener is gonna win, just barely with a 125.
Oh my god! I thought that Dark had it in the back. Seeing that bonk from Ener, I thought this is over. But then I switched over to Dark, and then I see that he doesn't have enough speed. I'm like, no way that this actually happened. And yes, that mistake from Dark is going to be netting the first blood for Ener here on this map on bolt holes, as we're already down to round number 2 here on bolt holes. Currently, Ener having a bit of an advantage of around 0.03 of a second at the next checkpoint. Downhill towards the jump, a bit more speed for Dark. They both angle their car towards the right to actually facilitate the drift here. Transfer jump. Ener with a low line, he manages to clear it nicely. Dark was a bit too high, and still he will drop down to P2, a 10.5 down at the checkpoint reactor boost part. It's still a little bit to the advantage of Dark though, managing to keep it around this around the 1/10 of a second gap, managing to recoup 0.5, but yeah, it's very much a yo-yo effect at this point. Jump coming up right now, it's still Ener leading by 0.5 of a second. Onto the grass banking, down to, a little bit of a clip for Dark. Oh, that's unfortunate for him. That's going to be allowing Ener a clear run, as we're going to be heading into the identity right now.
One jump for the knockout. He's going to get the first one here, but he needs to do one jump to get this checkpoint. That will be a knockout win if he lands this jump here, and that should be it. That's the round for Ener. 2-second advantage, and doesn't have to face the tricky 2 jumps in the ending, so good one to barely skip those.
Yeah, that's
and avoid any drama.
That's a bit of a blessing in disguise, this role for Ener, because as soon as he saw the gaps, he's like, okay, I just need to make it through that first set, and then I should be done, and I don't have to actually go for the finish, go for the actual finish at this point. And yeah, 2-0 for Ener here on bolt holes. Already starting round number 3. A bit more speed again for Dark compared to Ener at the exit of the penalty dirt part, and yeah, they're still very much pretty close, within 0.03 of a second. A bit more of an inside line, carrying a bit more speed on the way out. For Dark taking the lead before the transfer jump, checking in on Ener, seeing how both are clearing it. They're managing to clear it pretty clean. Maybe a bit too low for Ener. That was a bit close to the ground on landing, but Dark having an advantage of 1/4 of a second right now.
Oh, Ener, yeah, really had an awkward line there. I don't think that's what he wanted to do, but he is still in the race, and we have the identity coming up. Those 3 jumps might look easy because the players do them so effortlessly most of the time, but they're really pushing everything they can in a single jump. So what you'll see them do here is they're going to try to set up all the way from the right side and then do a smooth movement to the left to reduce airtime through the jumps. So they're really going for maximum speed. They're going to do the same here. Dark still in the lead. Ener jumping too far to the right, and that is the round for Dark. As long as he lands the final jump, he does, and it's a 2-1 scoreline.
This time, the blunder of round 1 has been fixed for Dark. He managed to actually clear the final jump and get into the finish line. So that's a 2-1 scoreline at the moment, as we're already starting round number 4.
Yeah, now we're getting in to the middle part of this map, let's say, in terms of rounds. Both players have gotten to shake loose a little bit, get their nerves out, get into the feeling of playing bolt holes. It is the longest map in the map pack, 1:18 being the world record, so you really gotta keep your head calm and do good racing lines for 78 seconds. We see these different approaches here. Ener's wide approach not working out that well for him, but here he did hit this line, and it's a much closer round than the previous one. Last time he went a little too wide there, so now much better chance. He usually gains by going a little bit wider than Dark in the dirt exit, and we see that again, just daring to risk with a few more pixels towards the wall. Will net him more speed. He's in the lead before the identity, but this is really anyone's round as they're pretty much neck and neck with 3 jumps to go.
Coming up to the identity right now, just one final corner to go before the identity. Here we go, first jump coming up, and they're leading Dark. Both make it through clean, a bit of a close landing on the left there for Dark compared to the barrier, and they're jumping towards the right-hand side. He bonks, he manages to get it on the road. Third jump, is he going to be able to clear it? Yes! Barely managing to keep it alive for 800ths of a second. That bonk at the second jump could have been over for that round, and now he moves on to finalist mode. Ener, he's got 2 uninterrupted attempts right now to seal this map, just like Dark had on Icy Snake, to get this series even.
Yeah, and that was so clutch from Ener. Those triangles in the bolts are made of plastic, which doesn't give you any speed loss if you crash with it, but you have to react quick enough to stabilize your car. So when he saw that, he just instantly air braked to stop the car, to get it to land on the wheels, and he was still able to carry the speed to the finish line. Very well done there to see that, but where's Dark going? Very high. Misses the jump angle he was going for, and we could very well be going to a 1-1 scoreline because Ener now 0.4 lead. As long as he can keep this before the jumps, he just has to get his car through, doesn't need to risk anymore, and this will still be a winning advantage here.
Yeah, indeed. He just needs to bring that point home. That transfer was really bad for Dark. I was switching over to Ener, who managed to get a really good line through there, managing to clear it low and relatively clean on the landing. As we're moving on to the identity, the gap is now towards 0.3 of a second between the 2 players. One more corner to go before the jumps. Here we go. First jump for Ener and Dark. Who's going to make it clean? Ener completely messes up the lineup, and full stop picks on there. Now it's going to be a free round for Dark. He just needs to actually get it to the line. He manages to barely avoid the touch, I think. That was very close. I mean, you could have argued that he went a touch there, but no, it did not touch. That must have been like 1 or 2 pixels weight in terms of the margin for error, but wow.
I'm sure Dark just took a deep breath, like, he sees the 2-second split, sees the knockout thing, and just like, dude, I almost threw that. But no, he's got it. 2-3 then is the score line, and Dark only needs 2 round wins in a row here before he could snipe the map win from Ener. It's not that clear yet, so Ener needs to use this one undisturbed attempt at winning it that he has. We saw Dark falter in this jump, and now it looks like he's got it better. Still not as good as he'd like to. It allows Ener to catch up here, and he will have a slightly better approach, Ener, before the reactor booster wall to make it, well, dead even on the split, just about. Here in the dirt corner, we see Ener time and time again go very wide on the exit. He will be able to do that again without fail. And again, we're coming up to the ending now. It is so even between the 2 that the jumps will decide it.
Man, 0.03 of a second between the 2, although maybe a bit more of a gap with Dark having a bit more speed at the exit of that wall ride, but that gap is totally recouped right there. And Ener versus Dark at the identity right here. That was close again. Ener versus Dark, who's going to make it through the first jump. They both make it through clean. It's Dark having the advantage and having a bit more speed compared to Ener. Second jump, Ener manages to make it through. Third jump, and it's going to be Dark who takes the win. Yes, he manages to make it through. I thought he was going to bonk the top of the finish, but we're now into a double finalist situation. Final round on bolt holes to decide who will take the map home.
And the winning pace always seems to be around 118.6. That's what the players have noticed. Every round, if they don't crash, they are around 118.6. Now, the players have faster personal bests than that, and this is when you gotta start to wonder, how much do I really need to push here to beat my opponent in just one final round on bolt holes? Because this one is worth all the marbles. If you win this one, you get the point. If you don't, then your 3 round wins were for nothing. Your opponent might be up 2-0, or it might be a 1-1 scoreline. So this setup matters. Dark might jump a little too short. He has that though. And he is actually in a pretty solid 10 hundredths of a second lead here against Ener. The downhill drift, Ener with a lot of speed, Dark having to release, and now Ener with his wide dirt approach will be able to push this for an advantage before the grass. This could build up quickly to a 10th in his favor, and with the extra speed, it will actually before the identity. Ener with the upper hand, but Dark chasing here. for this map win.
And then with the near mint section managing to retake the advantage over Dark, but now the identity, the real decider here, the judge in this particular moment. First jump, both make it through clean. Huzav is a bit more speed. It seems as though both are relatively equal. Second jump, it's gonna be pretty safe for both. Third jump, it seems as though Ener's got it in the bag, and yes, he has. No! He banks on the finish! No way! Dark takes the win thanks to a bulk by Ener, and he moves on to 2-0, and Ener must be kicking himself with that mistake.
Oh, he just needed to release a little bit, but he crashes the top finish, and he doesn't go in through it. It goes down more, and wow, Dark takes it for 2-0 now.
My goodness, I did not foresee this coming. I thought from my screen he had it, but no.
It looked like he finished. Yeah, it was crazy.
It looked like he had it, but unfortunately no. That must have been like a few pixels away from the line. That he stopped right there, and that allows Dark to move onto one final map in the series on Pole Party by Hiso, the map that was actually introduced at the beginning of the season on step number 1 and went through all the way to step number 5. We're underway right away, and now it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle, I presume, for Ener. Now 2 maps down on Dark.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate mistake there. He knew he had it, and I wonder what that does to your mental. Whether it's motivating to think like, okay, I can beat this guy, or if it's very like demotivating to think, dude, I threw it now, that was my chance. We see him here in the first round of Pole Party. He doesn't really get too much time to think about it. Just gotta drive the car, and he's driving well. He's keeping up with Dark before the first identity section, the pole driving here, where you have to narrowly thread your car through. That's one of 2 of those sections. The other one is near the ending, but we know he builds a lot of speed out of the dirt corners. Let's see how he does here. Oh, once again, might have it. No, this time Dark got the best dirt exit, and Ener is on the back foot here in the first round before that last identity.
Yeah, we're coming up to the identity in a little bit. First up is this banked left-hander diving down to the inside, really close to the edge there for Ener. But oh, and actually completely messes up the exit of that chicane there. And now Dark is in a position to win by knockout. He just needs to get to the... I think the checkpoint has been removed now that I think of it. Coming up through the final slalom. Oh, he actually respawns there.
Crashed.
He crashed. That's going to be Ener, but Ener crashes at the exact same point. And so it's going to be Dark at the end of a zany round with the identity taking the win. Well, he's credited by win by KO because it was the finish right there with the over 75 hundredths of a second, 75 tenths of a second advantage. But yeah, it was a bit of a weird round, that one. But Dark eventually came out on top of this weird round.
Yeah, both players not feeling it, and Ener here already missing the first drift, so he's really not got into the flow of Pole Party teams with those 2 pretty unusual mistakes that we saw. So now 0.3 behind Dark here, and it's going to be 0.4 already before they've even gotten to the first poles. Ener here now probably struggling with the mental game of getting back into this match after losing it on the finish line. See how well he copes, trying to do everything he can in this part to not lose further time. A wide line here might work out. 0.3 now, and with more speed, maybe the gap stays that way. Still looks like Dark has this under control with the 2 dirt corners and the ending to go. It's clearly Dark in the lead, and now maybe just 2 rounds away from winning this match.
We were talking about the mental effect of potentially throwing the map away in double finalists. I'm thinking that his brain is rattled right now in Ener. He must have not sitting so well, but he's managing to close the gap just before the final slalom. Let's see how this goes. Remember, we've seen both of these players crash in the previous round. Ener he's the one that makes the mistake though, and that's going to be sealing the deal for Dark. 4 tenths ahead of Ener in this particular one. And yeah, I said 75 cents. I meant 7.5 tenths, of course. But yeah, in the heat of the moment, you do tend to say plenty of different stuff and stuff that doesn't correlate. But anyway, round number 3 on Pole Party, Dark just 2 rounds away from a direct qualification to the TMGL Challenger.
And now if you're Dark, maybe you're starting to feel the pressure, like, damn, I'm so close. I have it all in my hands. This is my match to win right now. The question is, like, what happens if Ener starts winning a lot of rounds now? You know, he could turn the tide. He just needs 1 to put the momentum a little bit in his favor. And right now, he's looking for it because he's equal to Dark here. He's not 0.4 behind. and he had a really good ending last time. The dirt corner here, whoever gets the most speed will decide a lot. Ener, that's a great turn, will have the speed advantage before the jump, and it's going to snowball all the way towards this downhill drop and the final drift to the left here. So now into the dirt dive, it's Ener in the lead, and he has a chance here to make the comeback happen, but he needs this round right now.
Yeah, he definitely does need it. They're within each other's gearboxes right now. Look at this. 15 thousandths of a second of a gap at the previous checkpoint. Moving on to the Identity Dark with a bit of a lead of around a tenth of a second. There he is. And they're going a bit wide through there, trying to carry a bit more speed on the way in. Dark may be potentially releasing, but no, it's going to be Dark winning by 700ths of a second. And onto finalist mode, the first of 3 uninterrupted attempts to seal the series out and get his ticket.
I mean, if you're talking about any spot you want to be in, this is it, right? Finalist, 3 attempts where your opponent can't deny you the win, and still 2 more maps to go. This is by all means a match that Dark has a clear advantage of winning. But we have seen comebacks happen, and what Ener needs right now, I mean, he needs to be able to get at least 1 round on the board. And wow, speaking of the sun, it's shining here on Pole Party, as Ener will be able to get this one. Just gotta get through the pole section to lock in this one, but there we go. Car weaving through, knockout happens, and he gets at least 1. So now has a chance to try to recover this. Needs 3 more though to put us to the next map.
Yeah, that was a bit of an unfortunate ending to Dark's round there. Not really getting the slide into the corner before the jump, and thus pulling a bit of a hole-in-one strat. If you were in mini golf, but yeah, now we're back in there. He needs, now we're down to another try here for Dark here to seal that series out. He's the one that's currently behind at the first dirt start for Ener, but they're still relatively close to each other. They're within each other's goals, and it's very much going to be nip and tuck at the lead between these 2 drivers through the banked grass section. It's Dark currently having the lead, having a better exit compared to Ener, who had a bit less speed, but a better lineup through there. It's not really going to allow him to take the lead into the first slalom section. Onto the grass and into the checkpoint. It's still a gap of around 400ths of a second. It's still looking very, very close out there.
Oh, and I love these lines. We see Dark, for example, going for a very wide setup before the first slalom part. I like that. But now he's losing a little bit of ground out of the dirt. Ener, good speed there. Ener with a chance to get 2 back-to-back, and then you might be starting to think about it. But now, for now, just drive the car, get it to the finish line, and you have to beat Dark here. If he wins the match, and he's only 700s away from doing so, but he gets a little bit of airtime, and that's going to mess up his setup and the speed that he has. Ener, clear advantage, a bit shaky in the poles though. Treads the car through and will win that one. 2 in a row now for Ener, and 2 more needed to put us to a new map where Dark is no longer finalist.
Yeah, we've looked a little bit haywire for Dark there at the uphill before the Identity. He landed a little bit of airtime. That looked a little bit squirrely there. But yeah, Ener keeping it alive, hanging on for dear life, keeping the dream alive of potentially coming back in this series, having the best start so far. But Dark into the dirt section, taking the advantage. This time he gets the slide, and he will take the advantage with a nice slide through there from Dark. Getting the gap to around 0.8 of a second before the first slalom.
Oh, and now look at this. It might snowball even further because Dark has this wide setup for the drift. He will have more speed through the slalom part in the poles, and we see him try to build the lead, but Ener is staying close, and Ener might get more speed in this part if he does a smooth enough exit. No, this time Dark has it. And now he's on victory road right now. 0.11 ahead. This might be 0.15 before the next checkpoint in favor of Dark. And they're fighting valiantly, trying everything he has to. This might be the last round. We saw Dark lose grip and get airtime in this turn in the previous round, but here Ener is the one to make that mistake. Dark now, nothing in his way, just needs to navigate through this tight corridor of holes, and with that, Dark takes it and successfully qualifies for the Trackmania Grand League Challenger League next season.
A 3-0 scoreline, and indeed a direct ticket to TMGL Challenger alongside Skandir and Sapi. That is it for this 1v1, and man, I do feel for Ener, especially with bolt holes. It looked to have gone so well. He was going so well, and unfortunately that little pixel hit at the finish was all it took to completely destroy his effort and his mental. I really feel for him.
Absolutely crazy. And, it could have been a very different match if that hadn't happened in the double finalist round of all rounds to see that. But yes, Ener, I think still he was able to show in the final few rounds after that tough mental barrier to overcome that he has some serious pace. And maybe next season we'll see him in the Challenger League as who else is going to beat him now that Dark is out of there,
Yeah, I mean, he does have one more chance to make it through the Challenger. He has the Challenger versus Open confrontation. The day's not over for him yet. He will be replaying at 5 p.m. We do have a fair bit of a breakthrough there. And again, very sorry for the really, really adrenaline-filled start of the stream. I mean, we were...
I think they loved it, to be honest. I think it hypes up the cast for sure.
At one point we were just like, we're like, heck it, we're just gonna fully send it. I really don't like sending it. It feels like I wasn't prepared that much, but yeah, it's been a cool 1v1. Although, yeah, in the end, it turned out to be close fight by Ener trying to give Dark a run for his money, but in the end, Dark proving the superior driver. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see how what him, Skandir, and Sapi are going to bring to the table in the TMGL spring season. And yeah, so if you're wondering, if you're just coming in and are tuning into the end of the match, you just came to the end of the Ener versus Dark matchup, a 1-versus-1, which were tied for between two players who were tied for third place for a final place in the TMGLC spring season, the final direct place, and it was Dark who came on top 3-0. Ener will be taking part in the Trackmania Grand League Challenger versus Open, taking place at 5 p.m. Here's a quick of a recap of the schedule that is going to be taking place. So yeah, Ener versus Dark is already done. We have a fair bit of a break before the Open versus Challenger confrontation. We will be back live at 16:40 CET, so 20 minutes before the start at 5 p.m. and then 6 p.m. for the TMGLC final to decide who will get a chance to fight for a Trackmania Grand League spot in the head-to-head on January the 9th.
Yeah, don't go anywhere, guys. There's a lot more Trackmania coming today. That was just like the starter dish. We have the main course with O versus C, and then we have the dessert, the treat, the chocolate cake being the finals in about 3 hours time. So yeah, it's gonna be a great day of Trackmania esports, but we're gonna jump to a quick...
Should I point out, completely different format, completely different lineups. It's going to be very, very interesting. So we're going to be taking a break now. I think we need that after the little bit of blood pump that we had at the start of the cast. I will also definitely need to up my bean count, i.e. get a little bit of coffee, and we will retrieve you in about an hour's time for the pre-show before the Trackmania Grand League Challenger versus Open confrontation. Make sure to tune back in there. Stay with us, guys, and we'll see you in about an hour.
All right, take care, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.